Now let's discuss the defendant. Who's the defendant or defendants? The defendant is the case in the case is the person or entity that caused you harm. And in some cases we have a single defendant, and in some cases we have multiple defendants. And it makes a huge difference in the case as to what type of defendant we're looking at. For example, is the person that caused your injury a nun, somebody doing charity work, or a mom taking your kids to school, just trying to deal with all the challenges of the day? Or is the defendant a drunk driver? Is the defendant a big corporation? Is the defendant just generally scruffy and unlikable? Just doesn't make a nice impression. Somebody who was mean or abusive in some way. And when we get into cases that have multiple defendants, such as corporate entities with layers of corporate protections, a case can become very complicated, or where we have public entities involved with various immunities that they enjoy. So in terms of a lawyer's analysis of the case and whether they want to take the case, they need to look at the defendant. Some defendants we know will have deeper pockets, such as corporate defendants and public entities, but some enjoy various protections under the law that an individual doesn't enjoy. So in the analysis of whether we want to take the case, we look at how complicated is it going to be to track down various layers of corporate liability, bring in multiple defendants, multiple law firms, which increases the time and expense involved in a case. In some cases can become so expensive that they're literally not worth taking, because by the time we can make a recovery for you, all of the money that we could recover has been expended in litigation. So all of these things go into the analysis of the case at the beginning as to what kind of defendant we have and how complicated is it going to be, and what kind of an impression is that defendant going to make on a jury, because jurors, as we know, make emotional decisions at the end of the case. Sure, they look at the facts, but that emotional component, the right brain component, makes a big difference in terms of how much money they're ultimately going to award. So that's how we analyze the defendant.